Okay, so last week we ended out with the Accident Protector Max. Today, I really wanted to make sure we broke down each and every section when it comes to the how it works slide, the closing statement, some of the common objections that we've been hearing in the field lately, and then of course, what are some best practices when going over the paperwork and getting the things you need to call it a closed case when you left. So, first and foremost, now that you know a little bit more about our Accident Protector Max, Brian, I want to make sure you understand how this is going to work best for you and your business, my man. So I know you did mention you had a safety meeting each and every Monday at 8 a.m. You even have lunches that you take at 12. So the way that it would work is we would bring breakfast or lunch during the safety meeting or during the lunch hours, and we'll meet with each one of your employees for just a few minutes. We'd also go over those two no-cost introductory offers, and we'll let them know that that's something that you negotiated for them. We'll also complete the needs analysis, and that's a very important part of our process to really determine where their needs are. And then we're going to go ahead and offer protection for those with needs. Now, Brian, all I'm asking is for those employees that do want to protect their families is that you allow them to do so through payroll deduction. That way, you and the employee can save on those valuable tax dollars. Now, I'm going to have some time available this coming Tuesday or Monday at 8 a.m. for that safety meeting, or we can even start the Thursday coming up at 12 o'clock so we can start seeing everybody then. Which one of those two times would work best for you? Well, then he's going to, of course, come up with one of the more common ones is, you know what, I really want to talk to my guys. Brian, I was hoping you would say that because, like I mentioned earlier, what we normally do that works best is we come bring breakfast one morning or lunch, whichever works better for them. And then we'll go ahead and give a brief overview of our accident protector or our accidental death policy. Worst case scenario, Brian, your employees are going to, of course, get some coverage at no cost and take a look at what they have access to. Best case scenario, they're going to get those two no cost introductory offers and be able to protect their family that they can afford to keep after retirement. So, again, would that breakfast time or that lunchtime work better this coming Thursday? Well, again, it may be that's one that we're hearing quite often. But again, we talked about this in the previous weeks. Where is a good slide that we can knock this particular objection out, right? It's the needs based approach slide or the needs analysis slide. You've got to emphasize the value and the importance of making sure that, listen, a lot of these business owners are result based, right? They love to see the outcome. Most of them are already thinking about the end in mind. And so, with you formalizing and putting together a solid enrollment that they can, of course, see all the way through, they're going to be more likely to make a decision. So make sure you're aware of this one. The one that we also get pretty frequently is, I want to think about it. And one of the ones that I love, what I love most about this, it's it's a strong one because it utilizes the feel, felt, found. Okay, the feel, felt, found. And so when you're thinking about the feel, felt, found, you're bringing in a lot of things that are going to stimulate how to feel about this one in particular because it's reality, right? John, Brian, I completely understand how you feel. As a matter of fact, I've had other clients, John, as a matter of fact, over at 123 Towing down the street. He, of course, felt the same way. But what he has found is that while he was waiting to make a decision like this, we really never know what's around the corner that one of your employees could be faced with an accident, illness, or even a death in their family that could leave them financially devastated. Do you see what I mean? Well, I'll tell you what, man, that's great to hear. Let's get started. I'm going to have some time, like I mentioned, this coming Monday at 8 a.m., or we can do that 12 o'clock for lunch on this coming Thursday. Which one of those two times would be best for us to come in and enroll your employees? Right? These are the ones that I want to make sure you all role play today. So when we get into our role play session, I want to make sure you guys pair up and make sure you're going through this. So now, once we get the green light, we start diving into the employee engagement process. Okay. So now, Brian, the most important part of any benefit enrollment is going to be 100% participation. So as I go through these benefits of this enrollment, please initial letting me know that you understand these benefits. Okay. So the first one is, of course, the tax savings. The more employees that participate in purchasing pre-tax products with us, that's more taxes that you get to save. The second one, of course, is the employee goodwill. We're going to make sure that every one of these employees receive those two no-cost introductory offers, and we're going to let them know that this is something that you made available on their behalf. And then lastly, compliance. As you know, it's my job to ensure that you stay in compliance with the Section 125 guidelines. And all we need to make sure that we do is give everybody the opportunity to participate. So go ahead and initial letting me know you understand. All right, perfect. Now, I know we did talk about this coming Thursday at lunch would be best. So I'm going to go ahead and put that time there. It looks like this coming Thursday, we're looking at the 3rd of April. Now, who would be the person that would be helping me, of course, facilitate this? Who's going to be the contact person when I show up? Okay, Jenny. Now, is that your bookkeeper by chance? Okay, great. Now, as far as when the enrollment is said and done, Brian, who's going to be the one receiving the deduction authorizations? Is that also going to be Jenny by chance? Okay, excellent. I'll make sure to put her name down. And then, of course, last thing we need to make sure is the enrollment location. Is this going to be, I know we talked about lunchtime. Is there a break room? Because that would work perfectly. Yep, break room. Awesome. So what I did there, team, is when I'm going through this part of the process, I'm I know I'm going a little faster than I normally would, but because I've got limited amount of time, but I don't want to rush this part of the process. This is the employer buying into the enrollment, right? For them to see this completely through, they've got to see not only the benefits, because what I do on this page is I get them bought in to the employee engagement process. Why? Because I let them know that 100% participation is what we're striving for. This is going to benefit you in three great ways. After I get them bought in and initial those, I start drawing the picture. Where are we meeting? Who am I contacting? Who's going to be receiving deductions? All of these are the details that create the business owner to have peace of mind to pull, to give us the green light and get that date scheduled in time. Okay. So here's a couple of things that I want to give you here. And too many times I see this happen. What happens is once we get the initials down, we start diving into the payroll deduction authorization form. Okay. You don't want to do that. Now, once I get all that set up, the first thing I'm going to is, of course, you can see the employee list and names. Now, Brian, to get started, I'll need a list of your employees with names, their hire dates. If you would go ahead and print that list for me, I'll go ahead and wait. And then while you're waiting for that, okay, while you're waiting for that, you want to, of course, keep moving and get that billing information sheet filled out to make sure that you're going to get all that information up and ready to rock. Because again, it gives you that ability to. So while he or she is getting that employee list first, you're going to see a better outcome because what happens is they're getting all the signatures in there. And psychology tells me in every big decision that is made, okay, the signatures are the last step in setting something up. So if I'm going in and I'm getting all the signatures and then the last thing I got to get is an employee list, then of course you're going to get some setbacks there. So you want to get that employee list first. So I get that. I ask for the employee list once I've sold them or got them bought into the employee engagement process. I go over the details and then I dive straight. Now, great, John, thank you for that. Or Brian, thank you for that. To get started, I'll need a list of your employees with their names and hire dates. And if you go ahead and print that list for me, I'll go ahead and wait for that. If you do get pushback and the employer doesn't have it, open up the channel and asking, now, John, I know you mentioned Jenny being your bookkeeper. Is that something that she can get for me? Perfect, because I'll need that before I leave today. Set the expectation early. Too many times, again, and again, it's just human nature. It happens more common than you know, but this is a great way to mitigate that. It's to make sure you're getting that employee list first before you're moving into the signatures, because the signatures are the finalized step. So now that we've got the employee list and we've got the billing information already filled out, let's take a look at what the other pages look like, right? So this one in particular, I went ahead and included the scripts here. Now, of course, here are the suggested scripts. Some of the ways that I deliver this is pretty on par with this. The way that I say this is, now, Brian, this, of course, is the payroll deduction agreement between you and Liberty National. And what this is stating is that for every employee that does decide to participate in our program, is that you will utilize those deductions to pay the bill and nothing else but that. I just need your authorization there for me. Thank you. If you do happen to get pushback on this particular part of the process, the fourth paragraph is going to give you exactly what they need to know in order for them to lower their defenses. And it goes like this. The employer assumes no responsibility for payroll deduction after the termination of an insured employee, or after the employee stops paying the deductions by providing appropriate notice, which of course there's a process in doing that. But again, letting them know that they have no responsibility to continue making those payments or taking those deductions out when an employee leaves is a lot off of their plate. So something very important, if you do happen to get pushback on this, it's super important to understand. Now, this one's one of my favorite. This is a group term life. I do have people that, of course, ask questions about how to deliver this one. The way that I go about this one is saying, now, Brian, because we are one of the only companies, of course, I introduced the form, right? Now, John, Brian, this is our application for group term life. because we are one of the only companies that offer group term life on a pre-tax basis. This is the application that will be sent up to the state to approve your business to have access to it. Just need your authorization to make that happen. Again, and if you get any pushback on this, again, we are one of the few companies that allows pre-tax life insurance in the business. And so there's an application that is sent up for, of course, the IRS to know that this business is eligible to receive these benefits. And so down at the bottom, if you do get pushback in this segment, the signing of this application by the policyholder or employer does not constitute an endorsement of Liberty National Life Insurance Company or the group term life insurance product whatsoever. So again, everything's in writing, everything's there for you to know. But again, it just goes back to giving the why. How do you deliver? A couple of things I want to point out when you're going to this part of the process. If you notice, I'm using words that are certain. I'm using words that show confidence. You do not want to use words like, John, what this is basically saying, or this kind of what this is saying. You don't want to sum it up. You want to be specific, and you want to be utilizing strong terminology. Like, John, what this is stating is one, two, three, right? Small detail, but it has a lot to do with the psychology of filling out paperwork. Okay. Now, once I get their signatures, I've got the employee list because I got it first, and then I've got the employee or the signatures. Here's what I want to make sure you all remember to do. You have to make sure that you cover the employer verification call. Now, once you get all that, so lastly, Brian, you're going to be receiving a call from our corporate office just verifying the information gathered here today. It's only going to take about 2 to 3 minutes. What's the best time for them to contact you? Okay, great. I'll make sure to put a note in there. Thank you so much for that, for the time. I look forward to partnering with you. Before I go, can you introduce me to Jenny before I leave? Think about that for just a moment. All of these little intricate details, right? And I'll go back to the beginning is number one, are we getting the employee list first or are we getting it at the end of every signature? Okay, because we know that everything else outside of what we do most of the time, signatures are the last thing. So just remember, get the employee list first. And then, of course, work on your signatures at the end. All right. Then the other thing we talked about is when you're going over the paperwork, make sure that you understand how to deliver it. Utilize strong verbiage that helps you stay in that confident perception to the decision maker. And then once you've got that all collected, remind them of the employer verification call at the end. I know typically people like to cover the employer verification call during that employee engagement form, but you want to make sure that you address it there at the very end and get the payroll lady or introduce yourself to the payroll professional that's there. All right. Very small details. So, with all that being said, team, I want to make sure that you all remember as well, we're getting two very common objections after the presentation, and that's let me poll my employees and I want to think about it. So, I want you all to hear. So, here's what we're going to do during the role play session. I want you all to pair up in twos or threes if you need to. And I want you all to take turns reviewing the how it works slide. So go into your close, how it works, the closing statement. You're going to go ahead and either utilize the let me think about it or the I want to pull my employees. And then I want you all to go through the paperwork at least once. Okay, so we're going to do that. Right now, I've got about 2:35 on my 2:40 on my clock. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to get the clock started now, and then at 3 o'clock, we're going to end our role play session. So here's what I want to do. I want to hear everybody role playing with intention. Let's get fired up and let's get better each and every rep. So let's pair up and let's get rocking and rolling, guys. It's 2:45, not 2:40. Okay, excuse me. My watch needs to be readapted. So we've got 14 minutes. So well enough. We've got plenty of time to go over the how it works slide, closing statement. We're going to get an objection, one of the two, and then you're going to go through the paperwork, but making sure that we're applying, are we getting the employee list first instead of getting it at the end, and then verify the employer verification call at the end, okay? So let's get the role playing, and we'll finish this thing out at 3 o'clock. All right, everybody, it is 3 o'clock. If you're in the middle of a set, make sure you finish it out. But we will conclude today's training, and we're looking forward to seeing you next Monday. So finish up your set, and let's finish out this Monday with preparation so we can go out and dominate this week. I'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody.